What's up everyone, welcome back to another Claude Cowork tutorial. You guys loved the last one, so I'm creating another one today specifically for you solo operators out there. I've seen a lot of Claude Cowork tutorials on YouTube and they're not the best. So today I've got 3 workflows for you that's hopefully going to help improve your productivity and your efficiency in your day-to-day operations. Now before we get into everything, I just want to preface with a couple of terms that I'm going to be using throughout the video, just so we don't talk past each other and you know exactly what I'm referring to. So the first thing, if you've been watching my TikToks, you'll know all about this, is the use of the markdown file. So if you see any file ending in .md, that's just what a markdown file is. Essentially, it's just a plain text document, and it's easy for Cowork and any other sort of code editor to pass, and easy for it to read. And unlike PDFs, it doesn't absorb 3,000 tokens when you upload it into Claude. It's a very lean file, but you get all of the same content. The next thing I'm going to stress to you to do inside of this video is to use consistent file names across all of your client folders, like proposal.md, call-transcript.md, emails.md, and status.md. Now they all have the same names everywhere, and Cowork can use those same access patterns regardless of which client it's reading. The next thing is the ISO date format for any date in the file names or the content. Now in Australia and in Europe, we use ISO, so that's year, then month, then day, not the usual one we use, which is day, month, year. Now Cowork can then sort and filter dates reliably when they follow the ISO format. The other thing I'm going to stress for you guys to do is to keep the file names lowercase with hyphens, like follow-up-email, not just follow space up space email, because it makes it very hard for these systems to read those files with them with spaces in there. Now, the first workflow we're going to jump into is a client status snapshot. Now, every solo operator is going to feel the pain of what I'm about to describe, but essentially, if you get pinged by a client, you have to open Slack to your last conversation, and then you've got to open your Google Drive to find the proposal. Then you've got to jump over to your inbox to find the latest email, and it's just a mess. And then you spend 5 minutes per client checking all through all these steps. Now, with 10 active clients, you're going to lose at least half an hour a day, which is not efficient at all. So we're going to enter a very simple prompt, as like so, and essentially it literally just says, "Give me a status update on Tidewater Logistics." It's just a random company. Pull from all their files. Now, what it's going to do is it's going to open the Tidewater Logistics folder. It's going to read all 4 files. Then it's going to identify the contract terms, the most recent client touchpoint, any open items, the next invoice date, the renewal date, and the overall health status. And then it's going to return a structured snapshot that looks a whole lot like this. That took about maybe 10 seconds. So it read 4 files and it's pasting all of the results here and the sources that it got them from. Now that was about 5 seconds of typing, and you didn't have to bother switching tabs or going to another application. Now, some variations of this workflow that you should be knowing or that are worth knowing is give me 1 paragraph status on every client. You could also ask Cowork, which clients have I not contacted in the last 14 days? Or show me every client whose payment is overdue or whose renewal is within 60 days. What else could you ask it? What is the average contact value across active clients is another one you could say. Now, these all run against the same folder, so you don't need to worry about any other additional setup. Now, if this workflow breaks, it's usually because a status file is empty or it's missing a key date. The fix is just to ensure that every status file has at least an engagement stage, a last touchpoint date, and 1 open item. Obviously, Cowork cannot interfere with what is not in its files. Now, the next workflow that is worth knowing is the client or the new client onboarding. I think this probably takes one of the most longest and sought out processes for any business, let alone a new solo operator. So it might look something like this. Every time you sign a new client, you're going to have to create a folder on your desktop, generate a proposal, draft a welcome email. You're going to have to set up a status file, maybe update a CRM. And if you're going to do that manually every single time, that's probably like 45 minutes of tedious work that nobody actually enjoys and nobody needs to do now that we have tools like Cowork. Now, the setup will be dropping the discovery call transcript into call transcripts inside of the folder. Then it's going to be using the ISO date plus the client name in the file name. So it's going to be, for example, 2026-05-13 and then dash the name. So dash beacon-industries. Then the transcript should include the company background, the deal terms agreed to on the call, the contact details, and any specific requirements. So the prompt I'm going to use is this one below, and essentially just says, I just signed Beacon Industries. Use the transcript at the exact file path, so call transcripts / the file name to create a client folder under clients, generate a proposal using the template at templates/proposals.md. So I gave it the file path again, and then draft a welcome email using the templates at file path again at templates/welcome-email.md. and create a status file showing them as an actively onboarding with the kickoff date set in the transcript. So as you guys are seeing here, there's a common theme. Always put the file path there. It makes it very easy for Cowork to go and find them. Now, I know it's a little more work, but it definitely helps Cowork find the files faster for you. So what Cowork's essentially doing right now is it's reading the transcript and extracting the deal terms like the contract value, the scope, the timeline, the contact name, and the kickoff date. It's creating the Beacon Industries folder inside of the client folder. It's reading the proposal template. It's filling the placeholders with extracted terms, and it's saving it as proposal.md. It's still loading, very good. And then it's going to read the welcome template email. Then it's going to fill the placeholders and it's going to save it as part of the emails.md file. Then it's going to create the status file with the engagement stage set to onboarding and the kickoff date and the first open items. And then the optional thing it can do is move or copy the transcript into the new client folder. Now that's maybe like 30 seconds of work, fully filed. Now, the first time you run this, I just want to preface, it's worth opening the resulting files and just confirming that the population of everything is correct, that there were no variables that went astray. Now, Cowork extracts the deal terms from the natural language of the transcript, which obviously means that the cleaner the transcript is, the cleaner the output will be. If your transcript reads something like the price was around 15K, maybe more, you'll get a sloppier output than if it reads like the pricing landed at 15,000 per month at a 6-month minimum. Now, when this workflow breaks, usually it's because the template placeholders are ambiguous or the transcript is missing a key field. The key fix here is just to use a placeholder style syntax inside of your templates, like with the double curly brackets on the end, client underscore monthly field, and just to standardize how your discovery calls capture deal terms. And just like that, it produced the transcript or produced all the details that we requested in like 30 seconds with each of the 3 files. Now, the next workflow we're going to tackle is the daily action list. Now, this is basically just going to replace an EA if you were to hire one. So, particularly with most solo operators, they're going to sit down in the morning and either work on the loudest fire or they're going to default on whatever is on the calendar. Now, obviously, neither of those things are optimal, but the best thing you can be doing is to scan every active client and surface what generally needs to get done today. Now, manually doing that will take like 20 minutes of folder hopping, and so most operators just skip it. But the real prompt you should be using is something that looks a little bit like this. So you should ask Claude Cowork, what should I focus on today across all clients? Check every client folder for outstanding follow-ups, overdue items, payment statuses, and pending deliverables, and then return a prioritized action list with reasons. Now, what Cowork's going to do now is open all the subfolders under clients. It's going to read the status file and the most recent emails. It's going to cross-reference those dates against today. It's going to identify the overdue follow-ups, upcoming renewals, payment issues, and pending deliverables, and then it's going to return a prioritized list. Now, this is basically what an executive assistant would build for you every single morning. And now in 12 seconds of generation, fully informed by your actual files on your local system, Cowork can go and run all of this for you and actually create you a very succinct summary. Now, some other variations that you could use is something like what did I commit to this week and what is still outstanding? Which clients are at risk of churn based on the most recent communications? You could also ask it something like build me a list of client renewal in the next 90 days sorted by the date. And you could also say something very generic like generate today's daily briefing as a doc and save it to the daily briefings folder with the date as the file name. Now, obviously, the last variation that I just said is worth flagging just because Cowork can save the briefing as a file, and then over time, you can build it as an archive of daily actions that you list and you can look back on. And just like that, Cowork has generated your full executive assistant summary in a matter of not even a minute, in like 28 seconds. Now, some common failures that people might come across, and I have some solutions for you. So, obviously, if Cowork is pulling from the wrong folder, it's usually because the subfolder naming is inconsistent. And obviously, the fix around that is just to use a consistent naming convention, such as like your name as first name underscore surname or hyphen dash name or first name dash surname across all folders, and avoid using the same word in multiple client folders as well without a clear differentiator. Now, the other problem, or one of the other problems you guys could face, could be Cowork generated a proposal with placeholders not filled in. Now, usually that's because the transcript was missing a key field. And obviously, the solution to that is just to standardize how your discovery calls capture deals or deal terms more specifically. And if a placeholder can't be filled, just tell Cowork to flag it rather than guess. So then you can go through and make the actual correction. The other thing Cowork sometimes did for me was that it didn't see a recently added file, and that's just because the project context cache is stale. So the fix to that is just close or reopen Cowork, and sometimes adding files takes a minute for it to register. Some other things that are worth mentioning as well is that Cowork is reading old files instead of new ones. Obviously, the fix around that is just to ensure that the changes are saved on the disk before running the prompts. And with Cowork generated content in particular, when you house inside of your styling section, just make sure they don't use EM dashes or M dashes, just because it will do it by default. And if you just tell it to like write in plain prose with no M dashes and use Australian English or American English, it'll do that by itself. And you can even build it into a custom skill as well. The couple of other things I think is worth mentioning as well is that Cowork is slow to respond on the daily action list, and obviously the fix to make it go faster is just to split it into priority subfolders, like we did in this video, like clients active and clients inactive, just so the daily checks only run against the active set. And obviously, the last thing, which is like what most people are feeling with AI in general, is that it just feels generic and lifeless. Now, obviously, the fix about that is just creating multiple templates and give it your actual voice, not corporate ones. And obviously, the more examples of success you can give it, the better output you're going to get. And obviously, Cowork and any AI will just mirror what you give it. So, as we're finishing up the video, I've got just a brief checklist that I reckon you guys should go through if you wanted to build this for yourself. So, I would create an operations folder somewhere visible on your machine, whether it's in your desktop folder or your documents. Create a client's templates and call transcript subfolders, and then for each existing client, create a subfolder under clients with the 4 files that we covered in today's video, such as proposal, call dash transcripts, emails, and status.md. Then populate those 4 files with whichever information you currently have. You don't have to worry about perfecting them, just 70% of the way there is fine for now. That'll allow the workflows to function. Then add your existing templates into the templates folder, like your proposals, your welcome emails, your follow up emails at a very minimum, and then use the same placeholder syntax across all templates, whether it's using those curly brackets again, client underscore name, such as then comma, then monthly fee, or something similar to that. Then open Cowork and create a new project named operations. Point the project at the operations folder, and then don't forget to install any custom skills that you usually use, like your proposal writer, your reply writer, or anything else. Then obviously go through and test all those 3 workflows to make sure that they're all working well. And then after 2 weeks, audit the system. And then if anything else is breaking, then obviously fix the underlying file convention rather than working around it in terms of the prompts. And that's literally it with this Cowork system. All you have to do is build it once, and then you can use it every day without having to rebuild it every single time. And it does it for you, which is the craziest part. And that's like literally the entire point of Cowork. So that's all I have for you today. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any daily videos we're pumping out on the channel. And I look forward to seeing you in tomorrow's video.